back to Talk Football Live. This is myself, Biodun and Ayo, back talking about another fantastic game for this weekend. That is Newcastle versus Chelsea. Ayo, welcome back. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I mean, we have fantastic fixtures this weekend. I'm a little bit under the weather, so I'm looking forward to just resting,
Oh, wow.
looking in, analyzing these big games tomorrow.
Sorry to
We
hear
looked
that.
at
Sorry to hear
the City Liverpool one and now Newcastle Chelsea. Oh, it's perfect. It's perfect. I have entertainment lined up.
that. That's good. That's good. That's good. That's good. Well, I wish you a quick recovery. And
Yeah.
thanks to our viewers for continuing to like, share, and subscribe. But right now, we're going to be discussing Newcastle Chelsea. I think that's a top game. That's a top game that is worth discussing. Um, Unfortunately, it's not a good time for heading out, right? And
Yeah.
I'm sure you're going to be. I'm sure you're going to agree with me, Ayo, that this is not a good time for heading out. I think on the other side, it's an exciting time for Chelsea. This is Chelsea returning from that 4-4 trailing game against City. I would expect them to keep riding on that. Such a great result. The players are returning to form. I will let you walk us through what we should expect to see in that game, what players are available for this game. I know these two teams have been dealing with injuries.
Mhm.
Chelsea has dealt with injuries. I think it's getting better. Some of their players are coming back, but Newcastle is in a really, really deep, terrible
Injury
situation
crisis.
with injuries. Over 10 key players are out, and this is a fixture that I don't know. I don't know how idea is going to treat this. I'll let you walk our viewers through what we should expect. Higher analysis. Newcastle Chelsea. What do you think?
Yeah, so this is interesting, like you talked about, because this couldn't have come at a worse time for Newcastle. They are coming off the back of that big, win for Bournemouth, a Bournemouth 2-0 loss for Newcastle, and Chelsea is coming off of a spirited, fantastic performance in that thrilling 4-4 draw against Man City. And so Chelsea is going to come into this one excited. They have their players fit and available. They didn't have many players head off to the international. So Pochettino has had another 2 weeks to work with these players, give them some more confidence and belief, tell them, we're heading on the right track. I think he talked about that in the press conference, that he's working with a very young team, but he's starting to see an evolution where they have to mature quickly. They have to step up to the plate. And we saw them do that against Manchester City, which, as we all know, is probably the best team in the world at the moment. So going into this fixture, the disadvantage for Newcastle is they're dealing with a ton of injuries. They're in the middle of an injury crisis, as you talked about. In that loss against Bournemouth, they started with Lewis Hall at left back because Dan Burn is injured, and they started Lewis, what's his name? I think it's Lewis Miley, the 17-year-old, started in midfield because Bruno Guimaraes was suspended. That's a plus for them. Bruno Guimaraes is, recovery. He's returning from suspension, so he will be available for this fixture.
True.
But I'm just going to read off their injury list here. Sandro Tonali, as we know, is suspended for his betting-related activities. There's Jacob Murphy, who is typically a backup winger. There's Dan Burn on the left, who I talked to Lewis Hall stopping, and I think Lewis Hall actually went off injured in that game as well. So there's a complete crisis at left back for Newcastle. Callum Wilson is injured. Alexander Isak, who we've seen both of them play that striker role, they're both injured. So in the last game, they had Anthony Gordon start up front. Elliot Anderson, Eddie Howe said he needs to be checked. They're not. I think Elliot Anderson is actually out. Sean Longstaff needs to be assessed, so they're not sure if Longstaff, who played the last game, will be available this time around. So we might see Miley starting again in midfield. Sven Botman, who has been a key part of that tight Newcastle defense that we saw last season, he's out as well. Harvey Barnes, their new signing during the summer, who was supposed to deepen their squad, he's out injured. And Miguel Almiron, I think, should be available. He was in training, so I think things look good there. Fabian Schär as well should be available. Manquillo is out. Martaget is out. Those are long-term injuries. So at left back, they have Martaget, Dan Burn, and Lewis Hall. All three people who could play left back position injured. So it's interesting to see what Eddie Howe does there. Does he go to a back three with just Lascelles and Fabian Schär. Trippier should be available. I think they said he's being assessed, but I expect him to start that game. So they're dealing with a lot of injuries. Chelsea, on the other hand, fully fit, ready to go. Jackson is starting to score goals now. He's confident. Sterling is on form. I think it was a surprise for almost everyone that he didn't make the England squad this past international break. He caused Kyle Walker and City all kinds of problems in that last game. So on the balance of it, this is looking good for Chelsea going into this fixture.
Awesome. Very good analysis. I just want to take you back to Newcastle. So I haven't said that. How should Newcastle line up this game? You said a possible back three. I mean, I was hoping maybe you're going to complete the rest of the team. Why the players that are going to play?
So
you have an idea?
Jamal Lascelles and Kieran Trippier are fit. We've seen Trippier play on the right side of a back three. So if he goes with a back three, that might be the option. The alternative is Javier Manquillo is available. Sorry, not Manquillo. Tino Livramento, the young signing from Southampton, who's been, he's been performing very well when he's played in the first team. I think what we're likely to see is maybe see Kieran Trippier play left back and Livramento starts as a right back. I think that's probably what is most likely because they don't have 3 fit centre backs. It's crazy to say the billionaire Saudi Newcastle side don't have 3 fit centre backs at the side.
Okay. So I'm trying to go back to the Bournemouth game that they lost, right? So, like you said, Lewis Milley is out because he also got injured, right? They don't know whether Sean Longstaff will be.
Lewis Hall is out. Lewis Hall.
Lewis Hall is out. Lewis Milley is also out, right?
Okay.
I mean, it was subbed that game, and I think it was an injury when it got subbed in the last game. So, in this situation, right, it is very possible that they might have to play. So Guimaraes will be available, right? So that's probably a plus for them. So if they can have Guimaraes, Joe Willock is available. Maybe Sean Longstaff, Guimaraes, and Joe Willock, Joe Linton, Anthony Gordon, and they need another winger.
Almiron is available.
Almiron fit enough to play?
I believe so.
Might be fit enough. Okay. So even if they can get the right 11, maybe bring some players from the other 21 squad and all that, then the bench is also going to be very thin. Now, you talk about Chelsea.
Player that is maybe available is Matt Ritchie. They have Matt Ritchie and Paul Dummett and Emil Kraft. All those 3 are really not trusted players. We haven't seen them feature a lot in the first team. So those are the senior options, 3 of a possible, was it 9 subs on about 7 subs on the bench.
Interesting. So this is interesting. Is Chelsea playing Newcastle at a good time?
It's the perfect time for them. It's the perfect time.
Is this a 3-point for Chelsea? Is this a 3-point for Chelsea?
As much as I don't want to admit it, I feel like this is an easy win for Chelsea. Chelsea fans, I would be licking my lips if I was a Chelsea fan going into this fixture. Newcastle has been one of the better teams the past season and a half or so, and there's no better time at the moment based on what we're seeing to play Newcastle.
To make the matters more concerning for Newcastle fans, the reason I think it's going to be hard for them, if getting a draw is going to be as difficult as getting a win. You know why I said so? Because on Tuesday, it has a Champions League game against PSG. So it's playing Chelsea with a depleted team on Saturday, and it's going to go face PSG. Remember what happened the first leg of PSG? It was a 4-1 defeat.
I remember, yeah.
I am sure that PSG will never forget that game. And this is time for revenge. So whatever PSG will do to get a 5-0 or 6-0, just to avenge that defeat, that shameful defeat. I think it's this Tuesday. And I think Eddie will probably be thinking of how can I take care of this game on Saturday and take off the game on
Yeah.
Tuesday. Because the problem is you don't
Yeah.
even know how much more injuries you're going to come out of the game against Chelsea with.
You
You
know,
see the
the
dilemma right
interesting
there?
thing is, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want Eddie Howe's job right now because, you know, they started off that Champions League fixture, you know, with a bang where like Newcastle has announced themselves as back to Europe. And they've kind of fizzled out, you know, those, you know, the following fixtures. They're bottom of that group right now. And I think PSG too, just like, you know, Pochettino, they're going to be excited and looking at this as an opportunity for them to further cement their place, you know, going into the qualifying, into the next round of the Champions League. So Eddie Howe has a tough job at the moment. I don't know if you know he has any surprise youngsters or what rabbit he's going to pull out of the hat, but
Yeah.
yeah, tough 3 days ahead for Eddie Howe.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough game. He has 2 games within 4 days. 2 top games within 4 days. So honestly, I don't see a win for Newcastle in this game. A draw maybe, and a draw meaning you're probably going to have to play the typical ideal game. Sit back, contain, frustrate.
High defense.
Yeah, you're going to have to defend all through. And that might work because Chelsea has actually struggled against teams that play that style.
That's fair. That's fair.
And, if we just want to like take away the coach ego out, that might just be the way for Ideal to go. Play like Brentford did, and they won 2 goals away.
Mm.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean that's the only option. We saw that last season as well. You know, I think they hit that run of, you know, that patch of form where they kind of struggled. I think early January, February, where they were struggling to win. You know, they were keeping up the pace with the top four, and then they kind of had that dip. And what Eddie Howe did was to go back to defense first. Right, they were one of the best defenses in the league last season. And I think that's maybe what is probably his best option is, guys, we're going to sit compact. We're going to protect the goal. Unfortunately, Nick Pope as well hasn't been in form this season. So that's another area where they're struggling, besides the fact that they're missing their, you know, best back 4, 5, 6 players. You know, they have only 3 or so of that defense fit this fixture. But that's the only option. If you want to play exposed, I think Chelsea love that. They love to play against open defenses. We saw it when they played Arsenal. We saw it when they played City. We saw it when they played Liverpool. It's teams who like to sit back where they struggled because they don't really have that player who can unlock defenses quite yet. I think Cole Palmer is starting to step into that position, but he's not quite at that level. You know, the likes of Odegaard, the likes of De Bruyne, the likes of, you know, Salah, players who can unlock defenses. And I think he has maybe a little bit of maturing to do. We might start to see that maybe towards the end of the season. But if Eddie Howe chooses to go defense first, Chelsea might find a struggle.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say that. That would be my recommendation. The way I see this game, I think Newcastle should play the typical Newcastle game, play defensive, duo with a striker, just use a fake striker at this point. Focus on the midfield and the defense. See if you can play that. Or through 90 minutes, frustrate Chelsea. If you can get a counter, if you can get an header, maybe from corner kicks, you might still a win. Do that, save your team, and get them prepared for PSG. See, maybe you have 1 or 2 key players ready in 4 days. That would be my advice here. Do not try to play Chelsea at this point. I think that would be dangerous.
Yeah, exciting fixture for sure. We're looking forward to
Your
seeing
prediction.
how. Ooh.
Your prediction.
3-1 Chelsea.
3-1 Chelsea.
Chelsea win.
I'll go 0-0 Newcastle.
Wow. Okay. If Eddie Howe does go back to that defense first, that's a likely result, but we'll see.
Nice one. I think that might be the last option in his books.
Yeah.
Well, because you have to think about saving your players. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, looking forward to this weekend's games, and we'll catch you all next week ahead of the match 14 round of games.